Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I welcome Ms. Nidhi Pant, and she will speak on the topic solar conduction dryer. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. India loses food worth $14 billion. Uh, and this losses happen due to multiple reasons, whether it is transportation, sometimes the logistics, transportation handling, lack of cold storage. So from your farm to your marketplace, when these food comes, uh, almost 30% of the entire food in the value chain is lost, and that amounts to be this value. And major lead is also due to perishable nature of horticulture produce, in pest infestation. Once it's harvested, it goes to the it's transported to a mandi. It is then goes to like a bigger mandi. So in this process, a lot of time there is waste and volume loss. At the same time, there are 125 million smallholder farmers in India who are in poverty, and agriculture sector is also employing 80% of the active women, economically active women in India. Also, the opportunities that are there at the farm gate uh, are also very limited. So if you want to have any manufacturing to thrive very closer to the farm, you have very less number of options or ideas, uh, that or innovations that you can deploy. It is either cold storages or dehydration as two different technologies that can be present very closer to the farm. So the first thing, if you look at cold storage, it requires continuous amount of energy to go in. Also, the price appreciation that you get during cold storage is much is much unpredictable. So just to give you an example, that today if you keep a lychee in a cold storage and say that okay, I will sell after 2 weeks, or you would not have any visibility of whether the prices are going to rise or not, but you would have an added cost to go in. Also for farmers at a unit scale, which is that for a 1 acre harvest say is of 10 metric ton of the produce, say potato, and you put it in the cold storage, you would also, like, those smaller cold storages are not available, and you will needed to collectively come together and put up a cold storage. Though cold storage maintains the form of the produce, the challenge is also that it requires continuous amount of energy and the cost to go in. That's one of the technology available. Also, this at a smaller scale for farmers at a village level, this cold storage is not available. Second thing, there is definitely an infrastructure gap that we see. Second thing is also that in dehydration, there is a form of change in the form of the produce. So it would say a tomato would get converted into a dehydrated tomato, and the market would also change for the farmer. The person whom he was selling fresh produce, he's no longer selling dehydrated tomato. Also, there are quality different type of quality parameters also related to solar dryer that we would discuss going forward. So just also, these are the two different major technologies that are available for us. And uh, for any manufacturing activity to happen, you don't have enough amount of electricity in most of these villages where farmers are located. So you would require, it is by default that you would have to choose a renewable energy powered device to go ahead with. And all of this is worsened with climate change, because with climate change there is almost 20 to 30, like there is more produce of the farmers that are uh, BNC, lower grade produce. And it is more challenging for farmers to also find market for a lower grade produce. What they will do is that they would give a mixed grade to, they will not do any grading or sorting because that infrastructure is also not there, and it also varies from commodity to commodity. Like for a ginger, you would require washing to happen, and after washing, at washing center, there is a grading and sorting that is happening. In onion, if there is a scope for export quality, the farmer doesn't do it, the because the infrastructure is available at a trader level. A lot of times the grading and sorting is done by them, and there is a lower grade there, it is segregated into a lower grade and an upper grade produce, and the upper grade produce is sold in the market, and the lower grade produce is what is processed or dehydrated and has a lesser value. And the blended of both lower and graded, when it is sorted, the blended price for lower grade produce plus higher grade produce is greater than the unsorted price for it. So these are like just a few of the other insights or market background uh, to start with. So the challenges that we are dealing with are post harvest losses, the poverty for farmers, no assured energy access for them. And for women, the major challenge is that they're working either as daily wage workers or farm laborers. There are not many other livelihood opportunities also available for them. And they are the ones who are working on the farms, but the money is also not flowing into their hands. So there is also a big gender divide that we see. At S4S, what we are doing is that we are helping farmers become food processors and micro entrepreneurs, and helping them to preserve and process their produce using renewable energy powered equipments, primarily with solar dryers and other fan based other types of technologies that we will see. But just going through the model first, that for any smallholder farmer, we provide them with a renewable energy powered solution, a dehydrator, or a biomass based solar or biomass based dehydrator. Usually the dehydrator is a small, the volume that it can process is very less, and the area required is much higher, and the moisture that you need to remove is high. So a lot of times the commercially, for it to work at industrial state, it needs to be paired with other kind of dryers also. Then we give them training and capacity building on how to make the end product, because right now just processing it and storing it for your own consumption, there is only it's a food security solution, but most of the farmers are also looking at various ways in which they are able to find a market for their produce. Is there like a way where they can derive any commercial value out of it? And because we work with the women, most of them are new to credit, don't have any collateral. It is an important aspect for us to ensure that uh, uh, they need to find a financing for these uh, equipments. They need to get a loan. A lot of time loans are also not available. It's at a very high rate of interest of 30-40% with microfinance as well as NBFC. So affordable financing is challenging, and the banks won't lend to them because they are not have any credit history or any collateral to back it, or the cash flow is not something that they can predict. And for farmer, the challenge is that they feel that okay, we are working as a farmer for the first few uh, for almost 365 days. Like suddenly if you ask me to find like market and to know all the nuances of any other industry, because they feel that they know about agriculture and they don't know about food industry. Both are different. They would not know smaller quality nuances, and that's why that will make it more difficult for them to be competitive in the market or understand the quality nuances. So we set up these village level collection centers where we give, which helps us to source the different types of raw material from the farmers, and we can grade and sort the produce, and then we give them different equipments that work on solar as well as biomass as well as on low energy electricity. And then once once the raw material is collected at village level collection center, it is processed in a decentralized manner by 10,000 women with 1,000 setups that they have. They work in a group of 10, come together and run their small processing plants. Very closer to the farm gate, you need to have almost 2,000 square feet of an area where, and it is also modular in nature. So you can also keep shifting it whenever uh, and wherever required. And uh, and these farmers, they can do wide variety of. I'll also take you through the technology a little later. But then once they convert an onion to an onion flakes, we also collect it at our own central unit, which is owned and operated by us. Now I want to present, related to our technology, what are the different offerings. Yes, so this is the solar dryer that we have designed for the farmers, where they can, one thing that we have seen is that it can handle 45 different types of ingredients except your cooked food and watermelon. It can also handle cooked food, but watermelon, which is having 99% of water, that is difficult to handle. But that is one important aspect, that it is modular in nature and can be used in for different types of commodities. Second is that it maintains the nutrition, which means that after dehydration, with because the temperature is not very high. If you look at other technologies, steaming, microwaving, boiling, all of them are at a very high temperature, and also leads to nutrient loss. So here water soluble, because we dehydrate it at 60, for between 45 to 60 degrees, and it's a slow temperature dehydration, the nutrition is also intact. Also, the efficiency of drying is much higher, which means that if in a particular geography you have certain solar intensity of say 5, for this to work 4.5 or 5 kilowatt, uh, sort of solar intensity is there, and if there is a humidity of x percentage, the dehydration happens still at a very faster pace. So just to take a step back, that how does a dehydration as a technology work, is that dehydration means way of removal of water from any commodity. And how this water removal happens is, if you give it some form of heat, and the moisture content of the commodity and of the air, there is some gap. So if there is air which is heated, or air which is dry air which doesn't have so much of moisture content, uh, is blown over the product, or is directly sunlight that goes on the product, or through the black surface, that also I will take through. But first let us look at convection. How it helps is that if the air is continuously blown on the produce, there is a transfer of water that is happening. So water is pulled out of the produce because of the temperature, of the humidity difference between the produce, and also that. So once the air is saturated, that means there is enough water in the air, it is blown away, and uh, hot air is again comes in contact with the produce. So uh, in the solar dehydration, the principle on which it works is convection and conduction. What I've currently told you is convection, where you are using air for heat transfer and mass transfer, which means that there is a difference in the moisture content, and because of the air being blown, the produce is getting dehydrated. Conduction means when it is on a black surface, the black surface has absorbed heat directly, and the black surface, because of the contact, it is at a very similar to a roasting, or there is some sort of heat given to the produce, and and because of that there is a heat or and a mass transfer that is happening. Radiation is the third way, which directly, the sunlight goes, is filtered using the UV protection plastic, and um, but it falls directly on the produce, and direct heat, through direct heat it gets, uh, the heat is taken out, sorry, the water is taken out. The benefit here is that there is no electricity or no fan required in this. There is also uniform drying that happens, so it is not that one, in many of the dryers and other technologies, one part of the produce will become blackish and the other part of the produce will also become, is still yet not completely dried. So there is a proper uh, uniform drying that happens. A lot of times in sun drying, that is the thing, that because the water is not removed uniformly, the challenge is that uh, it becomes, it's not fully dried, and there is still like 7 to 10% of moisture that needs to be reduced, and the number of then days it takes to remove the unbounded moisture, sorry, the bounded moisture in the particle becomes challenging, uh, um, to remove, and it takes like, uh, almost 7 to 10 days, and then that also leads to microbial growth in the process. So a lot of what you would see in Thailand, etc., we will uh, 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 there's also chance for like those fruits which are just done using only sun, like they are usually dried in sun, you will see that there is some or the other kind of microbial growth or activity that is happening, uh, and it just leads to the loss of the produce. So what actually, coming back, what the farmer needed was that there is, bumper crop and seasonality, and there is lesser shelf life of the produce, there's lack of electricity there, and the market prices that they see is also low, and all of this also leads to post harvest losses. So what are we providing apart from technology? Sorry, will also want to explain one more thing related to the technology, uh, which is that if you look at any produce, so if you look at tomato, it has some bounded moisture and some unbounded moisture. Unbounded moisture is something which is not trapped inside the cell. Bounded moisture is the one that is trapped inside the cell. So when you're blowing air, which means when you're doing heat transfer with only conduction, the easy thing is that just by blowing air, we will be able to you will be able to take out the produce. But uh, in bounded moisture, you require some heat to be in contact with the produce, which means that there is a need for conduction or biomass, like there needs to be some amount of heat that should be generated. In solar dryer, that heat is trapped inside the black surface, which is the conduction, which is the use of black surface. The heat from the environment is the solar intensity is trapped, and through the contact it is getting, um, the moisture is getting removed. Sorry. Yes, just a couple of other things that I would like to mention is, so yes, that is about the technology. We use these fixed bed dryers. The red dryers that you see is for removal of unbounded moisture, and then we put it on solar dryer to take out the bounded moisture. It takes usually 4 to 6 hours in this red equipments, which are majorly fan based or electricity based. So in areas where there is low, like single phase electricity or low energy requirement, these devices, low energy, we call this low energy powered devices, they can also be used. This is required majorly in geographies where there are winters and the solar intense, and during areas like monsoon where solar intensity is not very high. So you also do fan based drying, and then for some hours you do solar based drying. This is not solar PV drying. Solar PV just runs like any other PV company. It's just that you are connecting the PV or the energy storage device to your dehydrator. But this is the solar thermal way of processing. So once these women farmers are dehydrating their produce, they understand the quality that is required. uh, at different stages they know when to transfer the material from one dryer to another. Also, a lot of times you require some pre-treatment to be given, which means that washing should be happen properly, the peeling should be there, that needs to be done. And then, say, like an onion should not start losing out on its color. Similarly, while cutting, it's important that the blade size needs to be proper. So a lot of nuances are also based on the cutting, how the sizing of the produce is happening. If the sizes are much thinner, the dehydration is faster, but it also leads to a lot of breakage of the material. So, with commodity to commodity, these nuances vary. Uh, we aggregate from various such micro entrepreneurs and take it to a central facility. This is how our value chain looks like. So that we collect the fresh tomato, we process it and convert it to an ingredient. We take it to a central facility where like a processed tomato or dehydrated tomato can uh, can be converted to a seasoning, can be converted to puree, paste, ketchup, whatever you want, and then can be sold to, like, whatever is the specification of the customer, and can be sold to the customer. This is completely B2B, business to business. What are the other services that we provide to the farmers? The delivery is at the doorstep. There is working capital. They don't have to invest in any working capital. All they are more like converters or processors. We also help them get access to give various government schemes like AIF and PMFME. Also, while doing bank financing with the bank, we help them get loans from SBI, Cosmos Bank. This is through our institutional partnerships with these banks. They also get term insurance loan, insurance and machine insurance with the loan. We also help them get certifications, FSSI certifications, so that they can operate these units. Different training activities are provided to them. First is food processing and quality control training. So first important aspect is to know the product market fit, which means that what the farmers are making is what is acceptable to the market. That is the most important value add that we bring to the table. The second is whether we do quality control, what are the different aspects of quality and nuances for it. Second is entrepreneurship and business. How can they increase their capacity, how many asset utilizations can be done, what are the different types of produce. A lot also on the financial planning, and how whatever they're earning, how can they save it. Also nutritional training to the farmers, and also making their payments, etc., visible to them on through a digital application. This is how, like, one of the units would look like. And if there are other farmers who want to join, we can keep on adding those processing centers here. This is our own central factory where all of this is collected and quality control is done. These are the different type how the products look like. Their applications are also under in different types of industries. Ready to cook industry, a lot of gravies are made, soups, salads, starches, seasoning, purees, uh, protein, breakfast cereals. Everywhere that you see dehydration as an important step. These are some of our products. These are only available B2B, not B2C. That means consumers like us cannot buy these. These are in 25 kg packets. We are present in different clusters, very closer to the raw material, focusing on onion, ginger, garlic, French beans, carrot, turmeric, as the few commodities. And some of our buyers who we sell, or wherever you would have seen our products, would be Ching Szechuan chutney, uh, uh, Safola oats, and different like Sodexo, Indian Railways, different types of customers is what we have. Yeah. I'm going to stop here, and I know that I'm over time. So if there are any questions, happy to answer them.
Okay. And thank you very much, ma'am, for a wonderful presentation. I'll take up the questions now. The first question is, what types of agricultural produce can be dried under this technology?
So onion, a lot of first focus is on our focus was on horticulture produce. You can also do maize, like you can also do grains, but it is not very viable to do grains because uh, uh, it is a voluminous crop. Also, the moisture removal is much lesser. So here the decision to make how which what crops you can do where the water removal is higher and the volume is much lesser. So grains you can also sun dry it. A lot of people do it through like concrete based drying, where you are only reducing 10% of moisture. Say an onion drying, you're taking out 90% of moisture. So you would want to do produce where the moisture removal is much higher. So you can do all different types here: cereals, pulses, grains, fruits, vegetables. I don't personally think that fruits are the right technology for dehydration because it gets very messy. The water content is very high. A lot of people ask us, do you do mango? We don't think mango should be dried. It should be pure. The puree, like the ways of preservation should be very different. But the technology can do all different types. Fish drying is a very successful product that we have seen. Meat drying, chiku drying, uh, pomegranate, anardana, green leafy vegetables. Produce that we do at scale are onion, ginger, garlic, tomato, turmeric, spices, and fruits and vegetables is what we recommend, which at least we do it based on what markets do we find. But you can also do fruits, guava, but you'll have to do some pre-treatment. The best way to do a fruit drying is when you dip it in sugar water and then do an osmosis sort of drying here. But yeah.
Okay. How does the dryer ensure uniform drying while maintaining the quality, color, nutritional value of the produce?
One important aspect when doing dehydration is to know the form. So if you cut it in the basically just ensure that the cutting machine has the right thickness. So if you cut it in the right form and you lay it on the dryer uniformly, the because of the design of the dryer, the heat transfer happens uniform. There's a uniform way of heat transfer. So you will see that there's a small layer to pass the heat between the tray and the top of the dryer, where the air is getting circulated uniformly and repetitively. So one difference is that when you do sun drying, you only have like a radiation working on it, or you have a conduction working on it. Your air is not continuously getting circulated. In this way, there is a continuous air circulation that ensures that there is a uniform drying, and the hot air is was above is coming down and again getting circulated.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. What is the average drying time compared to traditional sun drying?
8 hours in if you want to remove 90% of moisture, and the sunlight intensity is higher, which means that in summers it's 8 hours and in winters it is almost 12 hours, 12 to 14 hours.
Okay. Can the dryer operate effectively during cloudy or rainy weather?
It doesn't operate in the rainy weather. In cloudy weather,
You got my
based
question?
yes, it doesn't operate in the rainy season. In cloudy weather, it depends on the commodity. Commodity like ginger, it can operate, but it will take much larger time. So three times it takes to dehydrate in a cloudy weather. Everything is a function of sunlight intensity of 5. We at least need 5 kilowatt hour equivalent of power sunlight sunshine intensity, solar intensity.
Okay. What is the approximate investment required for a farmer to install a solar conduction dryer?
So we don't sell individual dryers. We give them a combination of dryer, like a cutting machine, two fixed bed dryer, three solar dryers. All of this in a 3 lakh rupee package. So for us, it's a combination, and it takes 3 lakh. But the farmer can start. Like I'm sure there are other technologies in the market that starts from. It varies on the capacity, but the minimum investment would be 25,000. So we are
Okay.
not a technology company, we're a supply chain company. Do not only sell dryers. We would open a cluster, like we cannot come today to Andhra Pradesh and start like our own processing of chili. We'll have to open a cluster. We'll have to see how many days the dryers would be utilized, what is their other crop calendars, complementary crops in that region, etc.
Okay. Is this technology suitable for small or marginal farmers, or it's mainly intended for FPOs and entrepreneurs?
No, this is only designed for small and marginal farmers.
Okay. Are there any government subsidies or financial assistance scheme available for purchasing this?
Yes, PM, everything is loan linked. Uh, there are some schemes of NHB, Horticulture Board, where it and Ministry of Agriculture, but that becomes district wise uh, for preservation and processing and handling of the produce. That scheme is there, but if you want, like that is very locality wise, but um, the uniform scheme or like scheme that can be used is PMF FME, 35% capital subsidy on the loan amount. The loan amounts after 3 years get reduced. The principal gets reduced. And there is AIF, under which you get 3% interest subvention.
Okay. Which crops have shown the highest returns after being processed using solar conduction dryers?
I would say there are two types of crops, three types of dehydration markets that show very good yields. One is where the volumes are much lesser, but the value of the produce is much higher. So, like herbs, ashwagandha, spring onion, they are like grown in very smaller quantities, and farmers who do these different herbs and nutraceuticals have the most highest amount of return on investment. Second is where the volumes are much higher, so your asset utilization and capacity is higher, so your per kg yield is like your per kg earning is not high, but because you do it for your volume is higher, so your earnings are much higher. So onion, tomato, potato, uh, carrot, French beans, so these are more commoditized products, but you will need to know how where to sell in the market. And the third is, I would say, where it's a part of any other processing plant, which is coffee, tea, or everything uses dehydration in some way or the other. So if you're replacing that technology, there are results there as well. Or if you're selling it to B2C market. So if you ask me, the number one high valued markets um, are majorly the herbs and spices. Second is horticulture produce, and third is coffee, tea, cocoa.
Okay. Besides drying, does S4 Technologies assist farmers in packaging, branding, or market linkages?
Market linkages, yes, but everything is B2B. Packaging, yes, but not branding. We sell under there's no brand, like we sell in B2B market under the brand Mumba, but it's a B2B brand.
Okay. What are the major challenges farmers face in adopting food processing technologies, and how can they overcome?
The major challenge is the quality challenge. Sometimes they don't understand how the quality works. So the biggest challenge is the capacity building. Uh, they would not follow the SOPs, etc. So the biggest challenge for them is to understanding the market requirement, that if today they don't want wash onion and dry it directly, when it is reconstituted and a gravy is made, suddenly would turn black, because you would know that, oh, it was not dried properly, like it was not washed properly, and there would be coagulation that would come. So so I think quality control is an important aspect.
Okay. What innovations is S4S technologies currently working on in the field of food processing and solar technology?
We are trying to see if we can do cashew, we can do other different types of, we can diversify into other types of processing, grits making, more larger setups as well, apart from dehydration, which can be done using biomass or other produce. So our focus is to integrate, go to the third segment, which is coffee, tea, like any of these other industrial large market produce. Requires dehydration at any step, so to replace that.
Okay. What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs who want to build businesses in agri-tech and food processing?
Focus on one or two value chains, go deeper in it, build a niche business, find the market first, uh, focus on being customer centric, and also farmer centric, manage the working capital cycle well, focus on value addition, do not focus on trading, find high valued markets, start small and then scale up.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we would like to thank Ms. Nidhi Pant for the talk and for answering the questions. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you so much. All the best, everyone. Feel free to
Most
reach out to me
welcome.
on LinkedIn if anyone needs it.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Bye bye.
Bye.